$50 monthly or $60 daily for a wide cross-section of workers. Government announced the extension of temporary incentives for small businesses, regularization of the public service, free tuition and meals for school-aged children, and improved bathroom facilities under the WASH program for the less fortunate, among others. The highlight, though, was most definitely the allocation of a whopping $7.5 million for the 50th anniversary independence celebrations, where an extensive schedule of activities was rolled out. The festive mood set in 2023 with the launch of the Golden Jubilee celebrations carried well into the new year, with several activities boosting tourism and travel and the entertainment sector. For many, though, national pride was never more prevalent, as awards ceremonies that celebrated sectoral contributors, galas, cultural displays, and innovations and community activities were scheduled. The festive mood was further emphasized by the vibrant red, green, and gold of our flag, which adorned almost every building and public space, signaling the celebratory mood the island was in. Some highlights included the Up From Here concert, unveiling of Grenada's commemorative $50 note, the historic drone display, and mega cultural showcase, amongst other events. It is therefore fitting that our first guest in our year recap is Head of Secretariat of the 50th Anniversary Celebrations Committee, Gail Purcell. Let's hear the discussion.
Hey, thank you. It's great to be here.
I'm looking so bushy-eyed because I have not seen you in at least a year because you've been so busy with the celebrations.
Yes.
I can't wait to hear all the background, what happened, because we saw a subset of celebrations that just made the country proud. And I know that was the result of a lot of hard work of both yourself and people on the committee.
Absolutely.
Now, you said that there were 21 events in 19 days.
Other way around.
Oh, 19 events in 21 days.
Yeah.
And you were at them all. I saw you at many of them. So when you look back, what were maybe some of the highlights? I know there were so many great moments, but what really stands out to you?
A few things. I think it started at the beginning, at the launch, when the theme song was unveiled and the logo was unveiled, and we just didn't know how people would receive it. Would people like it? Because when you're hearing something all the time, you're like, oh, I don't know. Are they going to feel it the way we're feeling it? And the truth, and I'm telling you, the truth is that I wasn't sure about it at first.
Really?
You know, we kind of had some conversation. I'm like, yeah, I like it. It's nice, but I'm not sure. And I guess that's the anticipation of not knowing how the public will receive it, because it's not really about you. It's about how everybody receives it, because it's a song for everyone. Yeah. And I recall kind of when I'm involved in these things and things are happening, I tend to sit in the background just to feel the crowd. And I remember being on the carnage, and as soon as the screen lit up and the logo, the pieces of the logo started coming out, and then seeing people's face and the excitement that was generated.
Yeah, the pride.
And then when the theme song came out, and just being in the middle of the crowd and feeling the pulse of the people, that instantly I knew they loved it.
Yeah, I can tell you that I heard it. Somebody said, look, here's the theme song. I think it went up on the government website, so I went to listen. I listened by myself, and I was like, my eyes open wide. I was like, the new national anthem. Yeah. And then I called my family, and we were playing it over and over, and we're like, get the lyrics. Yeah. It was really, really just so engaging.
Absolutely.
It captured the video itself, captured the beauty of the island. It made you so proud.
And every time I hear it, I still feel like a little, I feel it inside, and you just, it really captured the spirit of the Grenadian people and of everyone. And I think everyone really just resonated with the song. So that was one of my first highs. So it kind of set the tone.
What about the drones?
Absolutely, the drones did it for me. We were having worked kind of in the background with everybody, the team on this, particularly Orlando Romaine and Ricardo Keenstog, in terms of the conceptualizing around it, and the team at Sky Elements. They worked really closely with us. And just putting together, because it was really us depicting the story and they taking it and building on what we wanted to see in the drone show. And I had never personally experienced a drone show. I just knew about it. I'd seen it in video. But being in the back end, working at it, seeing how the music comes together, the script goes together, and then the reality of it, feeling it. I just remember sitting in the stadium, and I felt like everybody else in the crowd because there was no rehearsal.
So you didn't get to see it on video or anything?
Well, yeah,
you didn't know if it was going to work?
You would see a mock-up of it, but
okay.
Nothing
it doesn't compare to reality, right?
To the reality.
This is, when his face appeared there, you're not left out.
No,
we appreciate all that you've done and your sacrifice and your years, and that needs to also be captured.
Yeah.
You know, it was really, really so touching.
Yeah, it really was. It meant a lot. And on that day, so many things meant so much. You know, the Centurion train. I think that's one of the other things where we had the people who are our senior citizens over the age of 90 and up to, I think the oldest person on the train was either 101 or 102. And when they came out onto the stadium, they came out onto the stadium ground and made their circle, and you know, everybody. We now have people who are booking it for the next 50. The pan on the carnage, you know, pan 50. Again, something else that Ricardo was, you know, he just had it in him to say that this is something you must see. We must put pan at the center of this celebration and make sure it has a prominent place. Right. And we ensured that. So with each of the events, we had an individual coordinator who would drive one event or the other. So that helped the process to make it fluid and to make things happen. But I think the pan on the carnage, well, not pan on the carnage, pan 50 was definitely one of the most memorable events that happened. Yeah. And I think it was like a crown closure to not that the events closed, but the concentrated aspect of the events. We started in earnest when we launched on October 31st. We had the Mobile Museum launch in November. Then we had the CARICOM unveiling of what our intended plans were. But when we started around the 19th of January, it was back to back to back. Like I said, it was 19 events during that period. For us too. Sometimes it was 2 days in a row, 3 days in a row, we were going to an event. Something was happening. Something was happening somewhere. And I think when we put the calendar together, maybe we were a little overambitious, but we did it. Yeah, you pulled it off. We pulled it off. And it just couldn't have happened without a team. And it was a team of people working on many different levels to get that out. And just happened from the youth symposium. We had a youth symposium, ICANN, which was over 300 young people, you know, talking about their issues and where they see themselves in the next 50, how they see themselves fitting into society and their leadership role coming. So our Gospel Fusion was a very memorable occasion. It was fantastic. Really a nice way to kind of kick off the events. One of the things that I loved, that was one of the most memorable things, was the flag relay.
Yes, that was nice.
That was so much fun. Because I stayed in Sotes the night before because the Calypso finals was the Saturday night and the flag relay was the Sunday
morning, right?
Sunday morning at 7. So we followed it all the way, and it was amazing. I remember there was a young runner. She was probably about 8 years old.
I remember. And I think that her brother or somebody came to encourage her on. I was watching.
She was just fantastic. She ran
Olympian
the
in the making.
Yeah, it was amazing. And the energy on the road, people cheering them on, the sailing aspect of it, it just sailed off from Dragon's Bay. And then when we got to the carnage, I didn't even anticipate so many people were there waiting for this.
Oh, I didn't know that because I didn't see that part.
There were a lot of people there waiting.
Thank you so much, Gail, for that walk down memory lane, and blessings for the new year. Now let's head over to my co-hosts for this evening, who've been at the forefront of all the major programs on GBN, Mr. Colin Dow and Gordon Joseph.
This is interesting. Forgive me. Stacia says Gordon, I'll say innocent. All right. And I'm supposing innocent in name and nature.
Most times. Most times. Yes.
All right. So season's greetings to you and, of course, to the audience. I certainly want us to kick off our reflections without mentioning this. Independence. 50th anniversary certainly was a wonderful time for Grenada and Grenadians.
Well, for me, it really was, in that I'm not too much older than Grenada. You understand?
Right.
So that milestone having witnessed celebrations through the years coming and realizing that this is the 50th and all the exuberance that came along with it, I mean, kudos must go to the organizing committee, Ms. Gail Purcell and her team. They did a remarkable job, in my opinion. I don't think it could have been done any better. That's my personal opinion.
I mean, and the thing is, Grenadians, we believe in Grenada, whether we're the ones who are living here, and to me, you get even more patriotic when you travel. So the diaspora, likewise, was energized. And when we saw the numbers, at one point, people were saying that Grenada was going to sink because of the number of people that were coming in and came in the February months, just to celebrate the independence with us.
Well, even those who couldn't make it, their celebrations in whatever destination they were in, whether it's New York or Toronto or London, it might not have been as huge as ours, but it was as meaningful. It was as patriotic to them. You know, I looked at a couple events, especially in New York and Toronto, and the folks who couldn't make it back home, they celebrated in fine style. I don't think the only thing that they missed was the oil down and the cooks on the side of the road that they were not fortunate to having up there. But in substance, the activities, the events, everything, they were into it as though they were home. Right. And that meant a whole lot to me.
Okay. What jumps out to you the most in the overall celebration?
First of all, the budget for it, $7.5 million. When I heard that, I said, okay, this team is serious. It's going to be a spectacle, because to have allocated that amount of money, it means that we were in for a treat. Right. Something that jumped out again, although I'm not that much old, I wasn't that much old during the years of the revolution, but the level of patriotism I saw on some instances with people coming out voluntarily in the communities, beautifying and painting and ensuring that each village looked better than the next one. We had what we call there was a time in previous years when the best village competition that, you know, you would find folks at a given time going and painting the bridges and the stones and making the sidewalks or the roadwalks look beautiful. But this time, this celebration, to me, it was more purposeful. Yeah. You know, people, there was a sense of urgency, a sense of must do it, kind of.
Well, I think some of us are conscious that we won't be able to see the next 50.
I don't know about you, but I'll be there.
Well, okay, good. All right. And by virtue of that, we all hands on deck to make this one a special one, and it was. Yes. I think, hands down, that drone show just blew me away. Yeah, it was unbelievable to me, and it moved from one image to the next. The story, as created, I guess developed by Ricardo but delivered by the technicians, was absolutely fantastic. And what got me, because you're seeing Grenada and you can see us moving from era to era, but when I saw Kirani ran, that was just.
That blew you out of the woods.
That was just it. Yeah. Because I never knew this was possible. Yeah.
I thought at one point I was saying to myself, there's a movie that shows around Christmas years ago. It showed around Christmas, Die Hard with Bruce Willis, and it was part of it was staged in New York, and there were all this dramatization and so forth. Not necessarily drones, but they did things with lights that had that sort of effect. And I was saying, but at one point I was saying, but it sure isn't drones that there. It's not. These guys just have something that we can't see with our naked eyes line up in the sky. Because I mean, but it speaks to the movement of the eras, you know. I yearn for that day when we would have folks in Grenada that can do that presentation.
Absolutely. And you know, we typically with celebrations look forward to fireworks, and the fireworks was an anticlimax. After the drones, we didn't need fireworks.
We didn't need it. We didn't need it. We didn't need it. We didn't need it.
The other thing, because while we're reflecting, I think we also have to look forward. And the Vision 75. So, you know, the drone show, the highlights, commemorations, yes. I personally would also have liked to see more things being done on the projections or the pathway for Grenada. So we had the announcement of Vision 75. We didn't necessarily concretize many things as to what this next 25 would look like. I would have hoped that we had a definition of a hero. So that as we have acquired land for the Heroes Park, that definition for hero, I would have thought would have come out during the course of this year. So it can be resolved because we are still tussling over this, and we must first define hero before we can name heroes. I honestly thought that would have come out. I must also say that I would have hoped that we'd have used this celebration to have a national dress. We're Grenadians. You go to Dominica and you see the national dress. You go to St. Lucia, you see the national dress. St. Vincent. So the idea that we're still in Grenada and we were independent before them, struggling with a national dress identity. And all of the conversations that surrounding attire, apart from the jersey. Everybody has a jersey, the red, green, and gold. I get that. But an official national dress that would be formal wear, semi-formal wear, etc. I honestly hoped and wished that this would have been something that we could have accomplished. And not putting everything on the committee now, but I'm saying that as Grenada, as a celebrations committee, not the 50th anniversary committee, but as a celebrations committee, national celebrations committee,
which is enacted,
which is yes, it is. This is something that we should move forward to. So when our officials, when Grenadians in general attends a national event in formal gear,
we know that's Grenada.
That's the point.
Yeah. And if you were given a consultation role, what suggestions would you throw in that light? What would you like to see us name our national gear? Of course, it must reflect the red, green, and gold. But in what way should it do like the Scottish?
Well, I wouldn't advocate for kilts.
Yes.
No. I'm clear on that. But I also know enough to know when I don't know. So I would actually pass that on to the experts.
You plead the fifth.
I plead the fifth on this one. Pass it on to the experts to determine what the design would look like. Yes, we have our colors, our red, green, and gold, and other aspects. Because when you look at the logo, 50th anniversary logo, you see from the mountain ranges to Granitang Lake, to so much of Grenada was reflected in this. So we have the creativity.
We have it.
So it's a matter of issuing the charge to develop it so that we can embrace that with the same national pride as we did the 50th anniversary.
But all in all, you know, say what has to be said. Again, the team that was tasked with the responsibility for putting this together, they did a remarkable job, and kudos. You know, take your flowers before. You know,
right. I must comment on the song too. It's not often that we see Grenadians collaborating. Unfortunately, I don't know that we can say this is one of our strengths. We quick to criticize, and we don't necessarily come together. And the coming together of the different voices, the different genres, the different styles in this. Substitute national anthem. Going from Stacia there, right? It was absolutely brilliant and well received by all of us. I mean, you're on the radio now, and it went past February because, you know, in June, leading up to Carnival, DJ will play.
It was.
Yes, and you should. And should continue to play because it's so reflective of us. And I would say to you in my introduction of Grenada to visitors now, I use that.
That's all.
And the awe with which it is embraced is maintained, just as when we heard it for the first time.
It just shows the richness of not just the landscape and the flora and the fauna of Grenada, but Grenada is just a unique place. It's unique. I mean, the blending of the voices with Talpri or Madaw and Wasway.
And Natty, yes.
You know, it was.
And you can't forget the double super flying Flint.
Of course
up
not.
and up.
Yeah, he was fluing away.
Right.
But that's it. In a nutshell, I think that the 50th celebrations were really well received, well planned, well executed, and in my opinion, it was well received. The awe on the people's faces, you know, cannot be forgotten.
Right. And, you know, just as we close off this segment, I also have to remind all of us that patriotism and national pride goes beyond red, green, and gold. We need to live Grenadianism daily, and that is by serving each other and lifting each other up, lifting our country up, and doing well for each other, by each other, side by side. Sometimes you have to pull, sometimes you have to push, sometimes you have to be pulled or pushed. But together we certainly can make Grenada a better place.
Couldn't have said it any better.
Excellent.
Ride in style with an easy ride loan from Ariza. Enjoy the comfort and convenience of your own vehicle for work or play. You've got places to go, and we're gonna help you get there easy. Enjoy competitive interest rates, specials on insurance, and offers from auto dealers. Ariza also has great offers on electric and fuel-efficient used and new vehicles. Apply for an easy ride loan from Ariza and drive away in style.
Introducing the Grenlec mobile app. You can now get your bill balance and easily track energy usage for your home or business. Report and receive alerts about power outages. Plus, stay up to date by receiving the latest notifications. Yes, the Grenlec app keeps you connected anytime, anywhere. The Grenlec mobile app. Download for 24/7 access.
Christmas is here. Let's make it a magical time for everyone. Show your kids how to celebrate responsibly. Make smart choices about alcohol and ensure a safe holiday for all. A message from the National Parenting Program, Ministry of Social and Community Development, Housing and Gender Affairs.
This is the one you've been waiting for. Tuesday, December 31st. Old Year's Night from 10 p.m. Grenada. Get ready to
shine bright like a diamond
as Megapost Promotions present the most anticipated event of the year. Enchanted, the Diamond Edition.
Diamonds are forever.
The Ariza Car Park will be transformed into a sea of diamonds as we welcome Trinidad's #1 band, the A-Team Band, together with Sakina and the Alpha One Band, also featuring Black Adam and Mr. Golden. Your DJs, Just Gus, Graphics, Sound, and Kingpin, dressed to impress because there's a special prize for the best dressed male and female. Lovely display of fireworks to welcome 2025. Get your early bird tickets now for $140, VIP $450. Cabanas are also available. Call to book yours. Grenada, the wait is over. Old Year's Night. Get ready for Enchanted, the Diamond Edition. Brought to you by Megapost Promotions.
It's back, and you must win. Yes, Grenada. As the name says, you're bound to win. In the NLA's 2024, you must win promotion. Simply spend $15 or more in a single purchase on Daily Pick 3, Daily Cash 4, or Playway. Then check your ticket to see what you have won. Look for the words, you won, free cash, or free Insta tickets, or free raffle entries for chances to win. Not one, but 2 Suzuki Swift cars. In the NLA's 2024 You Must Win promotion. Over $100,000 in prizes to be won. So be sure to spend in increments of $15 on all your daily games for the rest of the year. Promotion runs from November 15th to December 31st, 2024. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 18 or older to participate. NLA, spreading the Christmas cheer to you and those who's there.
I think you don't measure up anymore. You never pick up on any of my signals. I think we should stop seeing each other. I went to Courts and I realized size does matter.
Say goodbye to your old TV and hello to a new one from Courts, bringing Christmas home.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Make this Christmas happen for everyone this year with Republic Bank. The finest loans we have to spread the Christmas cheer. With Republic Bank, we can make your dreams come true. Like magic, it will appear. With Republic Bank, make this Christmas happen. With Republic Bank this year. Merry Christmas.
Republic Bank, we're the one for you.
Looking to shop online from your favorite stores like Amazon and Shein? With GPC Global, it's never been easier. Get your very own US address and shop from around the world. With GPC Global, you can order the latest trends and must-have items, all delivered straight to Grenada to your closest post office for your pickup. We offer the cheapest rates, and our service is reliable and quick. No more waiting for weeks for your packages. Your satisfaction is guaranteed. Join the Grenada Postal family today and start shopping smarter. Visit us online at www.grenadapostal.com or call us on 437-POST. That's 437-7678. GPC Global, your gateway to the world.
Pope Francis has told us that 2025 will be a jubilee year, a year of forgiveness, renewal, and hope. And with all the hatred and suffering that's in the world, we need all three. The theme for this jubilee year is Pilgrims of Hope. My hope is the confident expectation that I have that God will give me the capacity to respond to His love and to be able to bring that hope to others. What are you hoping for in 2025? Hope for newness and happiness. Confidently expect God's blessing.
Level of convenience and comfort awaits you when you shop at Rise and Shine Supermarket and Hardware Supplies, Griffin Lane, Grenville. Convenient, because we are open Sunday to Sunday. We're even at your service on public holidays. Comfort, because we are easily accessible to the physically challenged. Free Wi-Fi is available while you shop, and bags come at no charge. Everyday low prices and excellent customer care. Adequate parking available. We supply everything you can possibly think of. Family and home supplies, fresh meat, vegetables, and personal care products. All brands of cooking gas at affordable prices. You can send in your order, have it pulled, or pick up express.
We now turn to the health sector, which continues to be an area of contention for many Grenadians. It's an area government continues to grapple to find solutions for. The sector came in for some heavy criticism over an increase in the infant mortality rate at the General Hospital this year. The hospital was further put under the microscope following the GBN's airing of the Damien Clouden case, a case which saw a family needing to raise over $70,000 US in 2 weeks to seek urgent medical care abroad, but one which also amplified the issue of insufficient human resources and the need for a review of policies and procedures. 2024, however, also had some progress being made, the allocation of land for a new hospital and the start of a new Carlton Home project, all which brought good news. There was also a new partnership announced with Mount Sinai Hospital in New York, which should increase the overall delivery of healthcare in Grenada, possibly under a new mode of operations. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Sean Charles, Head of Hospital Services, takes us through this year's health recap.
Healthcare is one of those very topical subjects. But at the same time, I would like to say that healthcare the healthcare system and on the healthcare services that we provide should not necessarily be defined by a few negative stories, because at the same time it doesn't do justice to the cadre of dedicated individuals who are working tirelessly every day providing services to the public. And frankly, it does not represent, the majority, it's only a small fraction, I should say, of the encounters that are experienced in the health system.
Have the post-mortems that have been done thus far on those type of anomalies, those incidents that happened that came into the public light and maybe caused some concern for the average civilian, would we be able to say at this point that any policies have been put in place that we as the public would see a difference in the way things are handled going forward with those types of cases, like Damien Cloudens, for example?
Right. So when issues like these arise, sometimes they, expose some weaknesses in the system. As it relates to this particular case, it's one having to deal with health financing, the level of expertise and equipment and your capacity to do certain types of interventions that may be available in more resourced settings. And it also brings to the fore the issue of health financing in terms of when your capacity is at its limit. What are the next steps? What sort of partnerships do you have that can assist with these areas? So those are the types of considerations that come to the fore. In that particular case, the Ministry of Health does not have an arrangement for funding emergency evacuation in that nature. All right, so it is one of the gaps that is revealed, but it's one of those areas that you have to look at in terms of how do you deal with situations like these that pop up in the future. But it also speaks to the fact that individuals must understand the limitations of the system in which they live. Okay, so our engagement with Mount Sinai is different. What we are looking at in this initial exercise are quality improvement, areas for quality improvement. All right, so this is principally where that type of collaboration right now is centered around areas of quality improvement. It began with the Mount Sinai team conducting a gap assessment. Like I said, the assessment was done, was completed, and a plan was developed, and now we are moving to the phase of implementation of the plan, which includes a number of quality improvement areas that need to be addressed.
And the funds to implement these suggestions, are those coming from us? Are the funds from us, or are they also assisting with that?
No, this is funded by the government of Grenada.
Okay, very good. And how long are we expecting before we can begin to see these changes rolled out?
Well, it's incremental. The rollout of the plan should start at the beginning of 2025, and it will continue for another 15 months. All right, where there will be incremental, activities that are implemented to address different gaps.
Great. So we've talked about some of the challenges, but there were also some highlights this year. Let's focus in on that. Tell me what you're proud of, or what you felt went really well this year in the health department.
Okay, so the health sector is quite diverse, and it's there are quite a number of components. In terms of highlights, I will try to just run through a few of them. Hospital services, I'll start with hospital services. Despite many of the challenges that we've had, we were able to maintain access to a large array of services from emergency medicine to pediatrics, internal medicine, all of these. Lab services, radiology services. Our laboratory started the process towards accreditation, and they're in the midst of fulfilling all of the requirements for that.
Fantastic.
And that is in with the support of consultants from Accreditation Canada. In addition, one challenge, human resources is a huge challenge in hospital. This year, we were able to support up to 8 physicians pursuing specialty training in a number of areas that are of critical need, and these individuals are being supported by the government of Grenada. All right. Those are a few.
Do you know what any of those specialties are? What can we look forward to?
Yes, they include emergency medicine, psychiatry, orthopedics, internal medicine, emergency medicine. One or two others as well, all critical need, including anesthesia, very critical.
Because I think I've heard we only have one anesthesiologist, right? So that should take off some of the load. Right.
That is correct.
Wow.
We only have one anesthesiologist.
Right.
So we are trying to bridge that gap. In the primary healthcare field, we are in the process of adopting what we call evidence-based standards, treatment standards for the care of persons.
What does that mean?
So these are interventions that studies are proven to be to work and to be very beneficial and to be the standard that should be adopted and that should be used. All right? So they are proven to work, basically. So we had the adoption of the HEARTS initiative, the WHO HEARTS initiative, which is it is a program, or should I call it a program? It's for the treatment of high blood pressure and cardiovascular diseases. All right. So it includes protocols of, how to screen patients, what treentments are the most appropriate to be given to the patients, and so on.
Okay, I see.
Right. So that is one. And in addition, we have some other primary healthcare programs that are coming on stream. In terms of environmental health. It is becoming quite topical, vector-borne diseases. We know we have, in neighboring countries, we have diseases like Oropouche and all of that are newly being introduced into our area. Our environmental health team, we had a dengue outbreak that was successful in assisting the country to get, back to a state of normalcy, and all of the work continues because I'm certain that many persons are aware. The vector control team has been out in affected communities, undertaking fogging, undertaking surveillance, and all of that.
All of neighborhood.
Exactly. All of these are the fundamental, programs and activities that keep the public safe. All right. On the pharmacy and the pharmacy and central medical stores, that is where we procure all our medicines and so on. We've undertaken improvements, in terms of the management. And at the beginning of 2024, we had significant challenges with commodities, medications, and so on, because there were still some lingering supply chain issues at the end of COVID, and all of most countries are contending with these. With the improvements that we undertook, we were able to overcome these supply challenges, and at present we do not have any major stockouts of key medicines or anything.
That's really good news.
Yeah, so all of these are happening in the background. Our immunization program was recognized regionally, all right, as the most improved. We received the inaugural Beryl Irons Award for all of the work that were undertaken to improve the immunization of the status of the country and to protect individuals. All of these happened in 2024. All right. On the surveillance side, we converted from a paper-based system to a fully digitized system. So all the disease reporting and so on, all of that now is happening on an electronic platform called DHIS2, and we are incrementally adding, different services to that platform, which is quite robust.
The health of a nation is the wealth of the nation, and certainly we can't understate the importance of the work of the Ministry of Health overall and the work of the General Hospital. And certainly, in a sense, I'd like to start off by saying we have magicians working in the General Hospital. They do so much with so little. And, we're always so quick to criticize, and we don't recognize and appreciate how well we have it. In terms of what our physicians do on a daily basis. I know quite often we also complain about the waits. You go to accident and emergencies and you have to wait so long, and I normally tell people, go elsewhere, please. For those of us, our friends who are in the diaspora, when they go to Kings County, they know they're not seeing anybody for 12 hours, right? You come to Grenada and you wait a little while. Precisely. I mean, and that's just the nature of the beast, as well as when the nurses and physicians triage, they may have more emergencies to deal with than yours. You are in pain, yes, but somebody else might have a life-threatening
patient here that is going to collapse.
Precisely. So, first of all, kudos to the workers within the healthcare sector for the work that they do. It's interesting because as the clip started, health financing was raised. We are now over a decade speaking about national health insurance, and it is still not a reality. That frustrates the system. It certainly frustrates me as an individual, because I don't understand why we're still in this position of not having a rollout of a national health insurance which can address a lot of the issues, because we have to finance our health care. The consolidated fund, it has so many pressures on it that there must be a dedicated resource to finance healthcare in Grenada, as well as for us to agree on what will be that basket of goods that will be financed by the NHI. And it really has been too long. It really has been too long.
Colin, a critical way to look at it, right? I had a foreign friend who came to Grenada, went to the hospital to get some medical done, and walked out. And he was like, I didn't pay.
You're right.
I didn't pay. And I said, yeah. And the next question was, how do you all do this? Health has to be financed.
Correct.
It has to be financed. And in as much as the general public is mostly critical about the health sector, either the human resource or the physical infrastructure or whatever, policies and so forth, but without proper financing, all the other facets will suffer.
Well, you know what? This is what amazes and frustrates me as well. For those of us who have health insurance because of our employment, when nothing really happens to us, we get a cold, we have a headache, we ain't feeling too good, we go by the doctor. We pay and we get reimbursed from the health insurance. When we are ill and we go to the hospital for 2 weeks, 3 square meals, nurses attending to us, medication, etc. When we're done, we get up and we walk out. Yeah. The health insurance policy that we pay monthly should be paying for that.
Yes.
That's part of the coverage.
Yes.
And unless and until we implement, so I recognize that there's a sector of the population that does not have health insurance. But those of us who do have health insurance and we're paying religiously,
should be covering that.
The
should be automatic.
Precisely.
Should be automatic.
It must be.
But having said that, in recent weeks weeks, maybe just a little above 2 months, there was a conversation started, and the population got mixed up with it, with statutarization and privatization. And I so much endorse the statutarization of our health service. This, in my opinion, should be managed separately.
But let's be clear, because I'm not going to get into the semantics of statutarization versus privatization. But what I'm very clear on is that you need professional managers to manage the healthcare system.
Point blank.
So we need a management team. We can't have a conversation of a new facility, because if you're doing the same old thing in a new facility, all you have is a building with more expenses and nothing changes. So there needs to be a management team to ensure that the resources, healthcare resources of the country, is appropriately managed and distributed. And that quite often comes from a private company that does this.
Yeah, and notwithstanding the fact that the constitution of that management team doesn't necessarily have to be holistically people engaged in the medical field. No, managers.
Correct.
Managers.
But health services administration is a discipline all by itself. A discipline by itself. So one doesn't have to be a physician. So when you see a physician managing, and you know how our physicians grow up. Our physicians do chemistry, biology, math, the sciences.
You're programming school for that.
Precisely. You get promoted and all of a sudden now you're in charge of managing a facility. That's not your training, right? You manage diseases, not facilities. And hence it is important for us to take that step. And we can't be shying away from what is new, what is different. But as Dr. Charles pointed out, is adopting best practices and having those best practices implemented, because our people deserve that. The other thing that was mentioned is the scarcity of human resource. And I can't help but dwell on this. And I dwell on it for several reasons. The government of Grenada, for eons, gave numerous scholarships per year for Grenadians to study medicine, for Grenadians to get into nursing, right? It was free of cost as an apprenticeship system for nurses at one point. Then when the associate degree was implemented through TAMCC, there was minimal cost in terms of payment, because what they were paying were not covering the cost of the training that they were receiving. So for nurses, for physicians, when you look at the number of physicians, for example, trained on the backs of taxpayers, and the number of Grenadians within our public sector, there's a big disparity.
It's appalling, man.
And somebody has to say, stop it. It is cheating the people of Grenada for you to take taxpayers' dollars, become trained as a physician, and not provide the service. So when we are now paying a second time to send people off in anesthesiology, internal medicine, radiology, and so on, but we're paying a second time when we have trained emergency care physicians, anesthesiologists, etc. We have them trained. Now, in some cases, I mean, let's say if you're into neurosurgery, there aren't sufficient cases to keep you busy in Grenada. I get that. But it doesn't mean that Grenadians ought not to be able to access your service. Your fundamental training coming on the backs of taxpayers. And hence, it is important, likewise, I believe, as we look at the health sector in general, as we look at bolstering the offerings, as we look at how we pay for health care. Because one of the things could be, I will not give as many scholarships, you know. One of the things can be, you have not returned service, therefore pay back the money.
Yeah.
Those are ways that we ought to finance. No, there are bonds. Honoring the bonds is the problem. And if one doesn't honor the bond through service, you honor the bond through repayment. But as we look at how we will fund, because this is a big question, is it going to be a payroll tax again? Is it like our environmental levies, somebody going to tack on something to the light bill or the water bill, and it's the same set of people that keep paying over and over again? How are we going to fund an improved healthcare system? How are we going to provide a balance between the specialized care, and I argue that we should get into health tourism. There is conversations as well as having a teaching facility as part of the new facility. All those are good. But for Grenadians to have access to medical care, as Dr. Charles said, emergency evacuation is not part of what the offerings of the healthcare system. But everything cannot be offered in Grenada. So an NHI probably should have some arrangement with one of the companies. I was about to call a name, but I'm not giving any free ads, right? But you know, the NHI probably should have an arrangement. So when critical care is needed and we are unable to, that Grenadian citizen can have that access. I am appalled, annoyed, but my term for the day was frustrated, so I'll use frustrated. When every Saturday morning I see the Grenadian NHI going around the island, a DJ truck with a man announcing, give us $10, give us $20 because this person needs medical attention. We need to get past that.
Having said that, Colin, right, trying to create a sense of equilibrium here. Whereas we would like our doctors and our medical practitioners to remain, but when you look at it comparatively to what is being paid outside, it's a tough call with patriotism and loyalty.
Well, no. Pay back the money. You did not fund your medical education. That's why I'm clear.
Yeah, but after they would have served the stipulated time.
After they would have served their stipulated time, and then they get to ply their trade wherever they want to ply it. Yes.
Yeah, but don't you think something should be done to attract them that, hey, it might just appeal a little more to the nationalism?
Well, let me say it this way. In 2024, we heard the creation and the offering of, to my understanding, free service in OBGYN, obstetrics and gynecology, at a facility in Frequenty area. This is being offered to Grenadian women by a non-Grenadian. Where are Grenadians and why aren't we stepping up? So that individual is not practicing exclusively in Grenada, but is coming in and dealing with referrals from our primary care physicians and providing free service, as I understand it, because of the commitment and appreciation for what Grenada did for him, meaning that he was trained in Grenada by the Grenadian institution that does medicine.
Yes.
Right?
You're free to give free ad again.
I'm not giving any free ads, right? And because of that, he is giving back and has a team that comes in with him. Our Grenadians should be doing likewise.
Yeah, Grenadianism.
That Grenadianism. Yeah. And I'm also going to flag that our Medical and Dental Council should make it easy for Grenadians to do that, because sometimes they have a two-tier system. They treat foreigners one way and they treat Grenadians another way. And it really should be about the service and allowing Grenadians to have access to that service. Yeah. And that's where I will go with that.
Having said all that, too, I think the government, through its Ministry of Health, has, they've done quite a lot in refurbishing and updating the outstations, like what we call the village clinics and so forth. That in itself should aid efficiency in the general hospital, because things that people usually would rush to the general hospital for, they're being attended to at the various centers.
We need to encourage our population to use that, because we have district officers in terms of physicians and nurses with the same skills, right? You have the medical stations, you have the polyclinics, and there have been great investments in that. Increased investments, and we want to see more, but increased investments, Princess Alice and otherwise. And as Grenadians, it is important that we utilize those services so we don't put the pressure on the emergency department at the general hospital and then complain that we sit in for 6 hours before we can see someone, when probably at the health clinic within the community.
What you thought was an emergency could have been dealt with there.
That's the point.
Yeah. And all in all, too, I think I've seen a push in terms of pushing the rhetoric to Grenadians to treat themselves better, reduce on the overconsumption of a number of things. That in itself would aid you and reduce you having the need for the medical stations. You know, that narrative has to be pushed. Your health is your wealth. Disseminate as much information as possible. Repetition creates learning. If we keep pushing it through the media and so forth, sometime, somewhere, somebody would say, you know what, maybe I should reduce on this and I should start a little doing more of the exercising and create more family bonding, taking the family for morning walks, evening walks, whatever. And that in itself, it interferes with the whole mechanism of the health sector.
And Dr. Charles alluded to that as one of the wins for 2024 and something that we have to build. That outlook of primary care, the surveillance aspect, which is, you know, part of our public health thrust, but the primary care and us taking responsibility for that is critically important as we support the healthcare infrastructure, you know, in moving forward. So we look forward to better things in 2025. But as I started, I would want to end. Kudos to all of the healthcare professionals who give so much to us, sacrifice so much, and do so much with so little. Season's greetings to you especially, and thank you for your good works.
That was a lot of words. I would just dub them as one thing: magicians.
That they are.
Magicians.